Venom is perhaps one of Spider-Man's most famous villains, appearing in many comics and has been in some editions of the Sinister Six, but I do not think Venom will be a member of the MCU Sinister Six, because his rights are still caught up in Sony, and there's already a Venom movie in Sony. Venom also has appeared in only a few versions of the Sinister Six in the comics. Venom, being one of Spider-Man's most popular villains, would most likely be the main villain of his MCU premiere. Green Goblin is a very famous villain and is usually the leader of the Sinister Six, so some would argue that he has a strong chance of being a key member of the MCU Sinister Six. But there have been in movies that have featured Green Goblin, so I think Marvel will pick someone else to lead, as there is not much evidence that he's going to be in there, and I have found a villain who could lead the Sinisters. Kraven the Hunter is not one of Spider-Man's most famous villains, but I think he could be the new leader of the Sinister Six. In Far From Home, Mysterio makes everyone believe that Spider-Man is a murderer, so the Avengers in Wakanda would hire an elite soldier to take him into custody. That soldier would hire a team that would go rogue with the goal of killing Spider-Man. That soldier's name is Kraven. Sandman was in the first few versions of the Sinister Six, so some would guess that he would be in the Sinister Six in the MCU. There's no proof that he could be there, and it would not make much sense for Sandman to be there. And there were villains that would make more sense. The Jackal is one of Spider-Man's lesser-known villains, but some think that Spider-Man's teacher, Mrs. Warren, is based off the character Miles Warren, Peter's teacher from the comics, and the alter ego of the Jackal. But this teacher is too little of a character to come back, and their name has the possibility to be picked at random. The Shocker has a strong chance of being in the MCU Sinister Six, as he has been in the MCU before in Spider-Man Homecoming, and at the end of the film he wasn't arrested, so the Shocker is just there, waiting to be recruited. There's also a line in Homecoming saying,
"Now you're the Shocker,"
most likely hinting that he is Sinister number 2.
The Chameleon is the first ever Spider-Man and villain, and the alter ego of Chameleon has already been spotted in the MCU. Dimitri in Far From Home is the same name as the Chameleon, so he is in the Sinister.
Carnage is a symbiote, like Venom, that acts like Spider-Man and has occasionally been in the Sinister Six, but I have to rule him out because the main and first symbiote is Venom, and he will be the first one in the MCU, so Carnage won't be in the Sinister Six. Kingpin is a Spider-Man villain that has been in some versions of the Sinister Six, and some speculate that he could help the other Sinister as of his money, but there is no real evidence that he's going to be there. There are plenty of other villains that would be better as a Sinister, and Kingpin, in my opinion, would do better as a main antagonist. Rhino is a famous member of a lot of Sinister Six issues, and is also the strongest ever member of the Sinisters with brute strength. That has not much of a chance of being in the MCU, as we haven't really seen any clues that he will show up, and his character isn't ready for the MCU in my opinion. Dr. Octopus is usually the leader of the Sinister Six when Green Goblin is on holiday, and is one of the most famous villains in Marvel, and most believe that he's going to take the lead in the MCU, but I've already found a leader, and Doc Ock wouldn't be a very good character without being in the leader role. Scorpion has already made an appearance in the MCU, working with Vulture, who we'll discuss later, and he seemed ready for action then, and he had it in for Spider-Man then, and him and his friend and high player Aces are ready to be recruited.
Silvermane is one of the least known Spider-Man villains, but some say that he probably will be in the Sinister Six, but there's no proof whatsoever that he will appear, and he hasn't had enough popularity for people to want him on the screen.
The Vulture has already been in the MCU, and he was last seen having a conversation with Scorpion, and whilst he was protecting Spider-Man last film, he will most likely join the Sinister Six, but eventually join Peter out of love for his family. Mysterio has also been in the MCU before, so he could easily join the Sinisters. You may be thinking that Mysterio died, but actually Quentin Beck died, and we saw a clip of Mysterio's failsafe. Mysterio is Sinister Six. So that is our Sinister Six, but there are other villains that could be in the MCU, but these make the most sense. There are villains like Kingpin or Venom that will be in the MCU, but they would do better as main antagonists. Please don't send any hate, these are just my opinion. Thank you for watching this video. I'll be uploading again soon for another theory or some gaming content. Bye.